But this was probably, at this point, at this point, 11 days before the election, they announced this?
To announce 11 days before a presidential election that you were opening an investigation on a new computer without any knowledge of what was in that computer. Why didn't you just do the investigation as you would normally with no public announcement?
Yeah, great question, Senator. Thank you. October 27th, the investigative team that had finished the investigation in July, focused on Secretary Clinton's emails, asked to meet with me.
At this point, May 3rd, 2017. I wonder if we knew that Crossfire Hurricane existed at this point yet, if it had been publicly announced yet. Why didn't he came out and inform Congress about the investigation into Trump?
So I met with them that morning, late morning, in my conference room, and they laid out for me what they could see from the metadata on this fella Anthony Weiner's laptop that had been seized in an unrelated case. What they could see from the metadata was that there were thousands of Secretary Clinton's emails on that device, including what they thought might be the missing emails from her first 3 months as Secretary of State. We never found any emails from her first 3 months. She was using a Verizon BlackBerry then, and that's obviously very important, because if there was evidence that she was acting with bad intent, that's where it would be in the first 3 months.
But they weren't there.
Look, can I just...
What? What are we talking about right now?
Finish my answer, Senator. And so they came in and said, we can see thousands of emails from the Clinton email domain, including many, many, many from the Verizon Clinton domain, BlackBerry domain. They said, we think we got to get a search warrant to go get these. And the Department of Justice agreed we had to go get a search warrant. So I agreed. I authorized them to seek a search warrant, and then I faced a choice. And I've lived my entire career by the tradition that if you can possibly avoid it, you avoid any action in the run-up to an election that might have an impact, whether it's a dog catcher election or President of the United States. But I sat there that morning, and I could not see a door labeled "No Action Here." I could see two doors, and they were both actions. One was labeled "Speak," the other was labeled "Conceal." Because here's how I thought about it. I'm not trying to talk you into this, but I want you to know my thinking. Having repeatedly told this Congress, we are done and there's nothing there, there's no case there, there's no case there, to restart in a hugely significant way, potentially finding the emails that would reflect on her intent from the beginning and not speak about it would require an act of concealment in my...
Bullshit! You found new evidence, so you investigate the new evidence. That doesn't mean you lied before, and now they all think you're a liar anyway. This is why I say, I'm sorry for Ryan, who's like, oh, I hope when Democrats come into office the next time, I hope that they try to be better. We need to expect more from the Democrats. Why? We don't get anything for it. This guy's even a fucking Democrat. He's not even a fucking Democrat. And every fucking Republican, ironically enough, when Trump fired him because he wouldn't kill the investigation into him and everybody around him, the public, do you know why Trump stated that he fired Comey? Do you remember the public reason that Trump gave? It was the meme. He says that he fired him over the handling of the inquiry into Hillary Clinton's emails. That's what he said he fired him for. That was the public statement. He fired him because he was trying to obstruct the investigation into his inner circle. That was the reason. But this was the publicly stated reason for why he fired him.
My view. And so I stared at Speak and Conceal. Speak would be really bad. There's an election in 11 days. Lordy, that would be really bad. Concealing, in my view, would be catastrophic. Not just to the FBI, but well beyond. And honestly, as between really bad and catastrophic, I said to my team, we've got to walk into the world of really bad. I've got to tell Congress that we're restarting this, not in some frivolous way, in a hugely significant way. And the team also told me, we cannot finish this work before the election. And then they worked night after night after night, and they found thousands of new emails. They found classified information on Anthony Weiner. Somehow, her emails are being forwarded to Anthony Weiner, including classified information by her assistant, Huma Abedin. And so they found thousands of new emails and then called me the Saturday night before the election and said, thanks to the wizardry of our technology, we've only had to personally read 6,000. We think we can finish tomorrow morning, Sunday. And so I met with them. And they said, we found a lot of new stuff. We did not find anything that changes our view of her intent. So we're in the same place we were in July, It hasn't changed our view. And I asked them lots of questions, and I said, okay, if that's where you are, then I also have to tell Congress that we're done. Look, this was terrible. It makes me mildly nauseous to think that we might have had some impact on the election.
Maybe we did.
Honestly.
By the way, Hillary lost that election by like 70,000 votes, basically. Across the right states would have been enough.
It wouldn't change the decision. Everybody who disagrees with me has to come back to October 28th with me and stare at this and tell me what you would do. Would you speak or would you conceal? And I could be wrong, but we honestly made a decision between those two choices that even in hindsight, and this has been one of the world's most painful experiences, I would make the same decision. I would not conceal that on October 28th from the Congress. And I sent a letter to Congress. By the way, people forget this. I didn't make a public announcement. I sent a private letter to the chairs and the rankings of the oversight committees. I know it's a distinction without a difference in the world of leaks, but it was very important that I tell them instead of concealing. And reasonable people can disagree, but that's the reason I made that choice. And it was a hard choice. I still believe in retrospect the right choice, as painful as this has been. And I'm sorry for the long answer.
Well, let me respond. On the letter, it was just a matter of minutes before the world knew about it. Secondly, my understanding, and staff has just said to me, that you didn't get a search warrant before making the announcement.
I think that's right. I think I authorized, and the Department of Justice agreed we were going to seek a search warrant. I actually don't see it as a meaningful distinction.
Well, it's very hard. It would have been, you took an enormous gamble. The gamble was that there was something there that would invalidate her candidacy, and there wasn't. So one has to look at that action and say, did it affect the campaign? And I think most people who have looked at this say, yes, it did affect the campaign. Why would he do it? And was there any conflict among your staff? People saying do it, people saying don't do it, as has been reported?
No, there was a great debate. I have a fabulous staff at all levels, and one of my junior lawyers said, should you consider that what you're about to do may help elect Donald Trump president? And I said, thank you for raising that. Not for a moment, because down that path lies the death of the FBI as an independent institution in America. I can't consider for a second whose political fortunes will be affected in what way. We have to.
That is not true, and that is explicitly what you did consider when you made this announcement. You made this announcement for political reasons. You said it yourself. That was the exact reason why you did it, is because you were worried that the credibility of the FBI would be hurt because the Americans need this decision, or they need this information to make a decision about who they should vote for president. That was explicitly the reason.
To ask ourselves, what is the right thing to do, and then do that thing. I'm very proud of the way we debated it, and at the end of the day, everyone on my team agreed we have to tell Congress that we are restarting this in a hugely significant way.
Well, there's a way to do that. I don't know whether it would work or not, but certainly in a classified way, carrying out your tradition of not announcing investigations. And, I look at this exactly the opposite way you do. Everybody knew it would influence the investigation before, that there was a very large percentage of chance that it would. And yet that percentage of chance was taken, and there was no information, and the election was lost. So it seems to me that before your department does something like this, you really ought to, because Senator Leahy began to talk about other investigations, and I think this theory does not hold up when you look at other investigations. But let me.
Sorry. Okay, that's our small pivot into the fucking disaster that was that. I don't know how much more of this I even want to watch.
Aided and abetted the DNC. The fact that Jim Comey wanted Hillary Clinton to win the White House.
I hate that I stream on YouTube. We have to start doing. I just need to unhinged. No, because I'll get arrested. Actually, never mind. There aren't words in this language to describe how much I fucking hate this disgusting fucking piece of shit. God, there aren't words for it.
Telling you, Brett, he has done generational damage to the Bureau.
We can agree on that.
Here is Congressman Trey Gowdy, May 2017.
Did you have evidence of a connection between the Trump campaign and Russian state actors?
As I said, Mr. Gowdy, I don't do evidence. And we were uncovering information and intelligence about interactions and contacts between U.S. persons and the Russians. And as we came upon that, we would share it with the Bureau.
Different haircut, but same pointed questions.
Like, you want to talk about manufactured consent? What the fuck is it? What the fuck? Good one. Nice.
We came upon that, we would share it with the Bureau.
Different haircut, but same pointed questions. Trey?
Yeah, and unfortunately for Brennan, the same allergy to the truth that he has now. He is allergic to the truth. He lied in that part of his testimony, and he lied about whether or not the dossier was used in court filings. The statute's wrong, but to Leslie's point, handcuffs are not the only way we mete out accountability in this culture. There's shame, there's history. It's not just prison. There are other ways we mete out accountability, and the fact that somebody's not wearing handcuffs does.
Now, nobody cares because people are too busy screaming at me for joking about dead fucking kids and are too busy hand-wringing the Democrats for every stupid thing that they say or for anything that anybody says. But what an unbelievable time to say that there are other forms of accountability besides jail time when you have insane MAGA people assassinating state legislators. How fucking crazy to make a statement like that. How insane that we've already forgotten that on his way to a third house in Minnesota to go and fucking murder more Democratic politicians. What an insane statement to say.
There's history. It's not just prison. There are other ways we mete out accountability, and the fact that somebody's not wearing handcuffs does not, to me, think that what they did is okay, because it wasn't.
Byron, last word on this. You guys are going to come back later in the show, a couple other topics, but it is piecing together some of these things.
Absolutely. And the thing that I wanted to know more after reading the Durham Annex is what's going on with the FBI at that period in July that I was talking about earlier. Remember, just a few weeks earlier on July 4th, James Comey had come out and given Hillary Clinton a get-out-of-jail-free card on the email matter. He basically spoke a long time about why he thought she was guilty, and then at the end said, and by the way, we're not going to charge her with anything. And you want to know.
So who is this uneducated fucking retard? Is there like a GED mill that makes these people qualified enough to talk on Fox News? What did he say? Criminal intent. Crimes require a mens rea, a criminal intent to do the crime. Merely possessing something doesn't make it criminal. You have to have the intent to break the law. That's why when we're talking about classified information, that's why an indictment was issued for Donald Trump about the Mar-a-Lago stuff, because Trump said, I knew I could have declassified it, but I didn't. I probably shouldn't be showing you this because it's classified. That would be an example of intent. Or maybe you could look to behaviors, like where he's telling his personal employees to hide these boxes of classified material from investigators, right? That would be evidence of intent.
Once the Clinton campaign settles on this Russia strategy, are there connections? Are there communications? What's going on with the FBI? By the way, we know the Clinton campaign funded the dossier. We know the FBI liked the dossier. They hired Christopher Steele over it. So when are they connected, and what are those connections?
Yeah. The reason we put the panel up here is because a lot of people say, things just go out into the ether and never get resolved. We're going to dig into this. We're going to dig into other items, and we're going to talk about other things later in the show. Panel, thanks so much.
The senior White House correspondent Peter Doocy is live from the briefing room. Peter, what can we expect to hear this afternoon?
Well, this is something that this president wants to talk a lot about, and this is going to be the first briefing since the president ordered these documents declassified that show Hillary Clinton herself in 2016 may have personally been involved, or at least personally blessed her team going forward with the Russia collusion narrative. So
it's just so crazy to me that these documents show, and if anything, it's so funny because no Dem and nobody in the liberal media will really give this the attention that it deserves. If anything, this shows that there is a greater reason to believe in the idea that the whole laptop thing was a hoax. If the Russians were actually cobbling together fake fucking emails, and Durham knew this, and we didn't know this. We didn't get this until they just leaked this right now because they thought that they were trying to own Hillary. We didn't even know this stuff. Have you heard about anything like this? I haven't. Maybe other people knew about this, or maybe other people were talking about this. I just didn't follow it. I didn't know that our intelligence agencies had evidence that Russians were cobbling together fake fucking emails and then submitting them as evidence or proof that shit had happened or whatever related to Hillary's campaign. I didn't know that. But they didn't even read the shit that they didn't even read what they published.
So expect Caroline Leavitt to have something very strong to say about that off the top. Of course, we also have this issue of tariffs. We learned a few minutes ago that there's going to be a 90-day delay for negotiations with Mexico.
Taco, another 90-day delay. Good one, you fucking retard. Holy shit, Trump's not even going to survive till the end of the fucking tariff delays at this point.
Apparently things are just so complicated with the border right now, and we know that China has a deadline until August 12th. Scott Besson said this morning that they're making progress, but it's going slowly. Everybody else, though, has until midnight. And so based on what President Trump has been putting out publicly and what we've been hearing, he has been working the phone a lot with his trade negotiator, Jameson Greer, and they are trying to figure this all out up until the very last minute. Probably a late night here in the West Wing. Also, we would expect, this is the first briefing since this whole thing with American Eagle jeans blew up. I believe that the White House is going to have something to say about this.
Who the fuck cares about the jeans shit? If you're talking about this, kill yourself. What a waste of time fucking story. It was a weird ad. The way that they said it was kind of weird or whatever. But to fixate on this, what a distraction. If I saw anybody on my side hyper fixated on that story, I would assume you're a fucking Chinese spy. What the fuck? Who the fuck cares right now? Jesus fucking, even if she was a fucking Nazi, who the fuck cares? Holy shit.
Sydney Sweeney ad campaign dust up, even though President Trump has not been seen in jeans or any kind of denim in decades. Back to you.
Live for us in the White House. In the briefing.
Like we have, like Texas is about to issue arrest warrants, if they haven't already, for senators, for state congressmen that were leaving the state because they tried to call a special session to delete 5 Democratic districts. Okay? Jesus. He already issued the arrest warrants? Nice.
Yeah.
U.S. customer is the greatest buyer in the world.
God, I shouldn't have read that. I just shouldn't have read the PDF. I just got triggered on 10 years of fucking bullshit. It's actually so insane.
And Donald Trump understands how to harness that customer and show that customer to everybody and say, if you want to play in our sandbox, you've been treating us badly for years, come on and play.
That, of course, is the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on President Trump's America First economy. We could...
Today, that was...
And in that tweet this morning.
Living paycheck to paycheck. It's interesting. Middle-class people who are struggling. And again, if the Fed wants us to be restrictive, they want to keep the vice grip on this economy. Those who are paying the price for...
Frankenstein-looking motherfucker. Holy shit. How many different pieces was this guy cobbled together from? Christ.
Already paying a
Charles.
At the moment, newly declassified.
So no, what? You know, that's... But what they're leaving out is that they argued time and again that Trump was in collusion with this foreign...
Before Trump comes in my mouth, after Trump comes in my mouth.
entity.
Yeah, and that's a component Intel Committee report signed off on by then acting chairman Marco Rubio. He's talked about this now as Secretary of State. They talk about that report, but remember what that report said also. Now Secretary Rubio, then Senator, when he released that report, he said, we can say without hesitation the committee found absolutely no evidence that then candidate Donald Trump or his campaign colluded with the Russian government to meddle in the 2016 election. That was in 2020. And in that same report, Rubio went on to say, we did find some really sketchy behavior by the FBI and their reliance on the Steele dossier. So if they want to cite to that Senate report, folks should know there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, just one last thing here. They chose not to give a defensive briefing to candidate Trump at the time. Now, if they had, some of this would have, he would have rebutted this. He would have said, no, what? That's not what's happening. Thanks very much for bringing this to my attention. But they didn't want to provide, it appears, the opportunity for him to rebut any of this because they wanted to keep sort of, hanging ornaments on this Christmas tree that they were trying to build.
Yeah, and that investigation, the assessment was building, it was going on. And we've also found out while they were doing that, they were not only not telling him about certain things, they were leaving out information that had come to them, including a close confidant of Putin who had come to them and said that he has made clear he has no preference in this election. And so information was left out, information didn't get to people, and it left an opportunity lost.
They didn't tell the president every single piece of intelligence that came to them. They had to fucking use markers to get this guy to give a fuck about any of the intelligence shit. How do you present intelligence to a guy that has none? Are you fucking serious right now?
For people to maybe rebut
this guy's watching Fox and Friends. You could literally, there was a point, somebody made a graph of this, I remember, where they would track the things that Trump would tweet about and talk about, and it was literally shit that had shown up on like Fox and Friends like the day before. Like over the course of like 5 years, somebody did this.
Yeah, well, we will see what comes out. More to come. Thank you so much, Shannon. Great to see you. Shannon Breen.
All right, so I want to get to some breaking news right now on this Russia matter that started 10 years ago in Washington, D.C. At the moment.
This is the most manufactured nothing burger. Please, God. If all of us right now were to commit to law school, what are the chances that at least one of us could become a prosecutor somewhere and start going after this? Guys, we need to infiltrate.
Newly declassified documents have been made public. These are from the Durham report. How much additional light will be learned about the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation is something we are trying to find out. Republican Senator Chuck Grassley is here. He chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee. And Senator, thank you for your time today. I want to know what you learned. I just want our audience to know that apparently, based on my reading of it, these documents were stored in an annex. I don't know where that is or who oversees it. And they were being kept in burn bags, which I assume is material that's set to be incinerated. What's the truth? What's happening? What did you see in the documents?
Well, you see,
they got him all the way to right in front of the furnace, and they just couldn't toss him in, huh?
Attention to the burn bag to me for the first time, and I'll leave that up to the FBI to describe, but I think it's evidence of the great depth that the deep state will go to cover up weaponization that was going on in the FBI and the executive branch of government.
4 years to set these motherfuckers on fire, and they just couldn't get around to it, I guess.
Generally under the Obama administration, and I want to thank Kash Patel of the FBI and Pan Bondi, our Attorney General, for releasing these documents, because after 8 years, and it took us 3 years to get this information, but after 8 years, I think we need maximum transparency on all the schemes that were going on 10 years ago to either stop Trump from being elected or after he was elected to ruin his presidency. And that's what this Durham report is all about. And it gives information that Comey FBI had 10 years ago that they never followed up on. And it actually brings attention to the fact that there was either a Clinton conspiracy to make this happen or a Russian disinformation. But either way, it was an attempt to stop Trump. And it also proves that the FBI had a hand in it. And now after these 8 years, 3 years of my trying to get the document. We know that there was the Steele dossier paid for.
3 years of trying to get the documents that you just found out existed? What the fuck does that even mean, you old decrepit fuck, you senile piece of shit? Do you even know what the fuck you're saying? Does he even know where the sentence started here?
By the Democrats and the Clinton campaign, that it was all effort of total distraction and to make it look like Russia was playing a very major role in helping Trump.
The Clinton campaign that controlled the FBI?
Elected, and now we know none of that was true. And now with this Durham report annex out, it finally proves that the FBI was covering up.
Wow. Okay, here is what we...
As Comey makes announcements over and over again. I want to make an announcement today. I saw Hillary Clinton. Now, I know you guys remember the interview where she said she carries around hot sauce with her. We followed her to a Chick-fil-A and to a KFC and to 6 other chicken restaurants. We want to report that we found that she used no hot sauce on any of her chicken, and we thought that the American people should know, have a right to know.
We've got from a source with Fox Digital. Let me go ahead and read this statement. It just came in. Ultimately, the release of the classified annex will lend more credibility to the assertion that there was a coordinated plan inside the U.S. government to help the Clinton campaign stir up controversy connecting Trump to Russia. You essentially just said that, Senator. That's what I heard from your answer. Sir, is there a smoking gun in this?
Well, I think the smoking gun kind of dovetails in with...
However old you think this guy is, he's older. I will bet you $100. Well, I don't know, probably 6,000 years old? Isn't that what young Earth creationists think? And this guy is obviously the fucking snake in the Garden of Eden, right? Except instead of offering you the fruit of intelligence, he's offering you the fruit of fucking Trump cum.
With things that Tulsi Gabbard has put out in the recent 2 weeks and things that we had with the Crossfire Hurricane Index that I released a couple weeks ago. Kind of all dovetails into the same thing, but it gets back to the fact that whether you have a Republican or Democrat administration, that there's cover-up, and we shouldn't have it. Transparency, or the public's business ought to be public, and what the FBI does ought to be public as long as their investigations are done, or if they aren't investigating, if they aren't doing their job, then it should be exposed, and this Durham Annex exposes that.
Okay, So John Brennan and James Clapper tried to get ahead of this story because they've got an op-ed already today in the New York Times.
Oh boy, what's their... Wait, is that the one that we read already? Or did they read a different one about how Barack Obama's misbehavior during his tenure ruined our chances of winning the election? Hillary Clinton and Comey, the evil... Wait, fuck, what is I... Was that the one? Was that the New York Times? Wait, it's right here. Oh no, this was Charlie Savage and Adam Goldman.
John Brennan and James Clapper tried to get ahead of this story because they've got an op-ed already today in the New York Times. The headline reads, "Let's set the record straight on Russia in 2016." And underneath this, it was finally deeply regrettable the administration continues to perpetuate the fictitious narrative that Russia did not interfere in the 2016 election.
Oh.
They say the focus should instead be on the fact that Russia routinely meddles in our national elections. What would you say to those two men today?
I think that they have been in the news so often recently, and along with Comey, of trying to information out that they've been in the center of all this conspiracy, that they're trying to cover their hind end. That's all I can say about that.
One last question. There's a headline now at foxnews.com that George Soros has a connection in these documents. Do you know of that? Is that true?
No, I don't, but I can find that out for you, and I'll be glad to get back to you with an answer on that.
Okay.
Can we get the Uranium One conspiracy as well? Can we bring up Seth Rich again? Maybe they really did kill him. Maybe there is a Hillary kill list.
Senator, thank you. We will see very soon what you have found. Chuck Grassley, thank you for your time.
Fox News correspondent David Spunt is in Washington with the latest. David.
Well, hey, Will, Special Counsel John Durham's investigation into the origin...
Oh, wait. This is the guy that I... Wait, is this the guy whose show I did? Is he like a regular, like, big host now? Is that this guy?
David Spunt is in Washington with the latest. David.
Well, hey, Will, Special Counsel John Durham's investigation into...
Did he get promoted? Jesus.
The origins of the Trump-Russia narrative began in 2019 and ended in 2023 with a 300-page document. Today, we're getting a look at the newly declassified annex to the report. It's just 29 pages, and it was released...
Wasn't he always? I thought he had like a much smaller sideshow.
For the first time hours ago. It discusses more allegations about the Clinton campaign's efforts to discredit Trump. The Clinton campaign's alleged efforts, I should say. Now, we're looking for the first time at an email from a man named Leonard with the Open Society Foundation. Will, that's a society tied to George Soros.
Oh, my God. An email from a guy who no one's ever even heard of before with ties to George Soros. What does that even mean? George Soros is a billionaire investor guy. What do you mean ties? What, like...
According to the annex, Leonard writes about a Clinton campaign advisor and says that HRC, meaning Hillary Clinton, approved Julia's ideas about...
This is stuff that we believe is not real. It says it in the thing that this is not real. This is stuff that we think was cobbled together by the Russians. This is not a real email. They couldn't verify or validate this anywhere. Nobody that they interviewed knew that this email was real. Nobody had any knowledge of it. The parts of this email were literally clipped from other emails to make it look more like it was being spoken by an English person. Nobody in the intelligence agencies, nobody when Durham's team went over it thought this was real. That was their assessment. And they're just quoting it. Bro, some fucking Russian, there's some guy who was about to kill himself. He's like, God, I tried so hard to do this amazing email plant and nobody took the bait and nobody bought it. And this guy's about to hang himself and his wife has like been so sorry for him. And then she's like watching the US media and he's like, look, you made it. Husband, no, look, your propaganda made it to US front and center media. It's Fox News. They're playing your propaganda email.
Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level, end quote. Now, a source close to the annex says that Durham obtained these Leonard emails via the intelligence community who intercepted them from Russian intelligence. The annex goes on to explain the FBI was fully alerted to the possibility that at least some of the information it received about the Trump campaign in 2016 might have origins with the Clinton campaign or Russian disinformation, but dismissed the information, quote, as not credible, without any investigative steps actually having been taken to either corroborate or disprove the information, quote, as in 2016, might have origins with the Clinton campaign or Russian disinformation, but dismissed the information, quote, as not credible, without any investigative steps actually having been taken to either corroborate or disprove the allegations, end quote. The report also critical of President Obama's intelligence affair goes to the Olympic level, end quote. Now, a source close to the annex says that Durham obtained these Leonard emails via the intelligence community who intercepted them from Russian intelligence. The annex goes on to explain the FBI was fully alerted to the possibility that at least some of the information it received about the Trump campaign in 2016 might have origins with the Clinton campaign or Russian disinformation, but dismissed the information, quote, as not credible, without any investigative steps actually having been taken to either corroborate or disprove the allegations, end quote. The report also critical of President Obama's national security team, specifically then...
Why would they bring up some of that stuff that wasn't credible, but they don't bring up the fact that the email that they're quoting was also assessed as being not credible? So we're relying on the credibility assessments sometimes, but we're not relying on the credibility assessments other times?
CIA Director John Brennan, who once again defended himself moments after the report was released today. Watch.
I stand ready to continue to talk about the assessment and what we did during that period of time. There was absolutely no conspiracy, and we continue to stand behind what it is that we have said publicly.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, all behind declassifying this annex so we can read it. Well, we did reach out to those mentioned in this unclassified or declassified report today, I should say, but we've yet to hear back. Will.
Okay, thank you for this important report, David Spun.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Hold on. Shut up. Wait, I'm just anything. 1 second. Okay. Look, here's a good meme from yesterday. I think these guys are all doing improv for this show.
We gather around.
I saw this on Reddit. It's a good meme. Jesus. Fuck. We got Homeland Security retweeting cat turd. So, oh fuck, I need to stop clicking links. I should just go through the media. Sorry, I'll click these links after. You should be wasting time linking me stuff right now. Why? I'm just gonna, I don't even know why I'm reading this. You shouldn't put any more topics in here about this shit. I'm just gonna fucking lose my mind. I can't.
Lesson is don't scatter. The instinct has to be to immediately find and connect with each other and to know that the circle will be strong.
Congressman Jim Comer from Kentucky, chair of House
And this fuck me, dude. Oh my God, I hate these people so much.
Oversight. Congressman, I want you to remember this. Don't scatter. Okay, please don't.
Like, this is why they laugh. This is why we need to be mean. I will always stand by my mean jokes. I'm waiting for the next fucking Republican tragedy that I can make fun of every motherfucker involved, right? Like, we need the Democrats to be nicer. And like, what do we get? Like speech after speech after speech of this shit. And then you get these subhuman filth who are like, oh, look at these fucking guys. Ugh.
Scatter. Above all else, do not scatter. I'm going to put that on a T-shirt for you. Send it to you. Congressman, what's this all about? I mean, she said she didn't have all the answers. Things were going to get worse before they got better in that speech as she closed out. But we got 3% GDP. We have a real border. Sounds pretty good to me.
It is good. And look, there's no guarantee Kamala Harris would have even won that governor's race. If you look at how she got to be the Democrat nominee, she was appointed in a smoke-filled room. There's no guarantee she ever would have emerged from the primary, even if they had had an abbreviated primary. There's no guarantee she would have even beaten Gavin Newsom or...
Appointed for what? What is he referring to? She was appointed in the very, very, very beginning of her career. I think she got appointed to some random medical board or whatever thing, but she won her race for district attorney. She won her race for, he means appointed for the Dem nominee for the governor? Is that what he's saying? He means he's saying for the primary. She was appointed to VP and nominee. For the vice president of the VP shit? Oh.
Governor's race. It is good. And look, there's no guarantee.
Wait, why would he be talking about that? I thought, wasn't the big deal whether or not she was going to run for governor of California?
Kamala Harris would have even won that governor's race. If you look at how she got to be the Democrat nominee, she was appointed in a smoke-filled room. There's no guarantee she ever would have emerged
never
from the
mind. I understand that she was appointed for the Democratic race. He's talking about now for president. I see. Never mind. Okay. I forgot because we have to be literally fucking brain broken on the whole they didn't have a primary. Remember all the debates that Donald Trump had? Where are my Republicans? Link me the debates that Donald Trump did for the Republican primary. It would have been Donald Trump debating DeSantis or Donald Trump debating Nikki Haley or Vivek or all three of them. I'll wait. Destiny, are you now going to have to relitigate all the old stuff from 10 years ago in all your future debates? The entire United States of America is going to have to relitigate the last decade and a half of fact. Yes. If you have kids today, in 10 or 12 years, your kids are going to be coming home and like, Mom, today we learned in school that the 2020 election was rigged. Can you believe that? Wow.
Primary, even if they had had an abbreviated primary, there's no guarantee she would have even beaten Gavin Newsom or Josh Shapiro or any other leading Democrats. Lastly, I'm glad she's not running, and I hope that she runs for president again because, look, she's a great candidate for Republicans. I don't think if you listed the top 20 potential candidates for president on the Republican side in 2028, I don't think she could even come close to any of them. So if the Democrats want to officially nominate her...
They should fucking... Oh, my God. Kamala Harris should be the next Attorney General. She has a background in it too, so it would even make sense. And then she can go prosecute all these motherfuckers. That's what I want to see.
Which I doubt they will. I'm all for it because I'm confident we'll have another Republican president.
Okay, before we get to the burn bags and what Kash Patel found, you listened to your colleagues across the political aisle. I mean, just yes or no, do they want her just to go away? I mean, you have to know this. Do they want her just to go away, most of them?
Yes. They never did like her. They didn't have a relationship with her when she was vice president, so they want her to go away.
No. And Congressman, as I mentioned, FBI Director Kash Patel announced that he found burn bags of Trump-Russia hoax documents in a secret room. One of the documents officials found was the classified annex to former special counsel John Durham's final report, which includes the underlying intelligence he reviewed. So I guess it's kind of an annex section of that report. Now, Congressman, maybe it was just duplicated and you do burn things. I mean, that is not, I don't want to make it like you don't ever have burn bags. You do have burn bags in the government. But what do you make of this?
Look, I knew all along that the Democrats would try to destroy any evidence that would make them liable in this Russia hoax.
Listen to this Kentucky Fried motherfucking retarded piece of shit talk like, I know that they packed them all up in the burn bags and they were sitting right in front of the fucking furnace and they just couldn't lift them in and they couldn't throw them away. Like, what? It's actually so fucking ridiculous. It's the stupidest motherfucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. This conspiracy. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life.
You knew it was a Russia hoax. Fox knew it was a Russia hoax. You did a great job, Laura, are reporting the facts about this Russia hoax. Now Kash Patel, who, by the way, is the right guy for the job, he's in there. We've got John Radcliffe in there, Tulsi Gabbard's in there. They're all trying to get the truth to the American people and hold people accountable. It's not just about the fact that we've proven they lied all along to try to hurt Donald Trump and destroy his presidential campaign. It's about the fact that they've lost confidence. We've lost confidence in the intelligence community. We have competent people in there now. We want them to pay a price. We want the Comeys and the Brennans and those guys to pay a price for what they did. It's illegal.
How is it so easy for them to make up these catchy lies? Burn bags, smoke-filled rooms, and acid-washed servers? What are you talking about? The answer is fucking obvious. How do you make up Santa Claus? Because you're talking to retards. You're talking to 9-year-olds. No shit they believe in Santa Claus. They're fucking retarded. It's the Republican Party. They will literally believe anything you fucking tell them. Anything.
Legal, it's wrong, and they need to be held accountable. And I think Kash Patel is on the right track, and God bless Kash Patel and John Radcliffe.
Well, words about accountability are great. We actually have to see accountability. But Congressman, the Biden gatekeeper, Steve Ricchetti, testified in front of your committee today, and we're told he still thinks Biden could have won in 2024, and he was capable of being president right now. So what else can you tell us?
Well, he didn't tell us a whole lot of what
This might be, actually, ironically, this might be the most informed Americans have ever been about cabinet level positions in the United States of America in U.S. history, because half the fucking cabinet is filled out by Fox News hosts now. Jesus Christ.
You wouldn't expect. It appears to me a lot of these Biden lackeys, they're still trying to claim that Joe Biden was in top physical condition when everyone in America saw it in the debate. Everyone in America saw the rapid decline over the last year of his presidency, especially the last 4 months of his presidency. It's almost like they're a cult. You know, the 7 or 8 people that were around Joe Biden is like a cult. But at the end of the day...
The Hassan strategy. Well, what is the other side saying about us? Let's just say the exact same thing about them. Oh, my God.
His testimony wasn't consistent with others who have actually testified. About half the Biden people have pled the fifth. The other half have testified. And all their testimony is inconsistent. So we're going to put the pieces together, and we're going to release all the transcripts, and we're going to issue a report, and hopefully we'll be able to determine whether or not Joe Biden had any idea who was using the auto pen and what they were using it for.
The auto pen. Remember, that auto pen, that came from nothing. That was a total conspiracy that came out of thin air. They haven't found anything about it at all. Like Donald Trump is the one who has executive orders presented to him. You know what? If Donald Trump had to sit in front of a computer and he had a 20-question ChatGPT generated quiz for answering questions about his executive orders, he would get a 10 out of 20 guaranteed. He would fucking fail it.
Did know.
Congressman, are you going to subpoena someone like a Kamala Harris?
I think that's another great thing about Kamala Harris not running for governor. She's going to have more time to come before the House Oversight Committee and testify about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. So I think the odds of Kamala Harris getting a subpoena are very high.
Well, that will be something. Quite something. Get ready for the laugh. You have to wear earplugs. Congressman, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
I don't know who's in the hallway. I'm screaming.
Joining us now with more, Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, I want to get your reaction not only to the Durham annex.
Radiant, do you have any CNN coverage on that? I'm curious, what is the liberal side saying? The liberal side that was so destroyed on covering anything about Russia because they don't want to be accused of doing Russiagate. Have they? Give me Radiant. No, there is no coverage. I don't believe you. They must be saying something about this. United Airlines flight makes emergency landing at Dulles. Bureau of Labor Statistics jobs report. Human skeleton buried alive. TikTok pulls video of beauty mogul. Out of his mind, Jeffries responded to Governor Abbott's threats. Harrowing moments inside New York City building as mass shooting unfolded. See desperate effort to save Ukrainian soldier. Hear top Texas Democrats' response to Governor Abbott's threat. Immigrants advocate detainees on hunger strike in Alligator Alcatraz. This is what you see in Nothing? No response? We have no strong responses to this right now? What about New York Times? What was that? This fucking liberal hypocrisy is fueling American inequality. Here's how. Johnny Harris, is that that guy? Watch Joaquin Phoenix videos latest. Wait, why is this all the New York Times? Do they not post videos that you can see? Am I retarded? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? Hello? Maybe that's just not, they just don't, oh, it's the New York Times, it's a fucking newspaper. I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry.
Here's the bottom.
The Texas stuff is important. I mean, I'm glad they're talking about that. They are brain broken. They can't. Liberals cannot talk about Russia. Nobody's read any of the fucking reports. Nobody knows any of the facts that are being claimed by the Republican side. Nobody followed anything relating to any factual analysis of literally anything having to do with this, and so they can't bring it up because it was Russiagate. Oh, yeah, we can ask our ground news. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. That looks about right. Seems about right.
But also Tulsi's declassification. And as you put
Lindsey
it all
Graham is gay, by the way. This guy pays for male prostitutes. This guy's like 70 years old, no wife. It's because he likes to fuck little men.
Together, you were the one person. It was you. You got everybody that used that phony Hillary Clinton bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier as the basis for not one but 4 FISA applications. You got every one of those people, including James Comey. What did he sign? 3 of the 4, 2 of the or 2 of the 4?
3 of the 4.
To say
3 of the 4.
Okay, 3 of the 4. To say, knowing what we know now, we never would have signed it. They knew the information was false, though, way back when, and they used it anyway. Does that mean they lied to a court? Put it all together for us.
Well, so number one, the warrant against Carter Page that was sought by the FBI, 3 of the 4 applications to the FISA court were signed by Comey. The FBI had information.
Unironically,
that
part of the conservative strata flooding the zone is choosing to interview on conservative news only, so libs start out on the back foot and have no primary sources to debunk it. Sure, but I mean, you could also
taking place.
Matt Taibbi going over this. I DM'd him. If you're in this space and you can type, tell him to fucking talk to Destiny. I would love to talk to this guy. I don't know how many viewers he gets on Twitter. Mine are more real than whatever dog shit website that is. We'll do it here. Tell him, hey, check your DMs for the Omni-Liberal. He would love to chat about this. He might actually have a greater command of the facts than me too. So I hope I lose, and then I can actually.
Steele dossier was politically motivated. It was the exclusive basis for the warrant against.
Do you see that dude you debated on Jubilee might get appointed to the Fed? And you mean in that empty Fed governor chair? You're lying to me, you motherfucker. There's no shot. I know you're fucking lying to me. I know you're lying because you're a kick chatter and you're lying. There's no shot that he's being considered for that. Where are you getting that from? You really lied. He really did lie. Stop.
Against Carter Page. The subsource, this Danchenko guy who gave information to Steele, told FBI agents his hearsay is bar talk. It was never meant to be used.
Justin, Doge architect and harsh Jerome Powell critic James Fishback. Doge architect and harsh Jerome Powell critic James Fishback is being floated for President Trump to appoint as a Federal Reserve governor. He's suing Jerome Powell for violating transparency law. No shot. This is just people saying that they wanted to be considered. We don't know if this is actually. I don't think this is. That's the guy who I did the high school debate thing for. I don't know if it was. We got a video of that, right?
An illegal proceeding. That, in spite of all that, they got.
Kagan. Wait, did I see you at that event? What the fuck? I was a kid who met Fishback at his Incubate debate shit. How the fuck did he rise so quickly? Were you at that event? That was the Incubate debate thing is what he like sponsors or hosts for high schools, and I know I did it years back. Oh, nice. Well,
warrant after warrant after warrant. So what did Page tell Strzok in August after Crossfire Hurricane opened up on July the 31st. Page, he's never going to become president, right? Strzok, no, he won't. We'll stop him. These are the two people leading Crossfire Hurricane. But what's important tonight is that for the first time we know that in January of 2016, Debbie Wasserman Schultz apparently meets with the Soros Foundation to talk about a plan to distract from the Clinton email scandal. To talk of Wasserman Schultz, distract from the Clinton email scandal. And there's a statement where Obama said, I'm not going to have my president tarnished by the Clinton email scandal, suggesting to Comey and everybody else, you need to let this go. And at the same time, we now know from an email that Hillary Clinton, to distract from her own email scandal problems, set up the narrative that became Crossfire Hurricane, blaming Trump of being a...
Man, she sure did get Trump there in order to counteract the 27 public statements made by Comey to fucking torpedo the fuck out of Hillary's campaign. They got him back by privately and with no public statements having the FBI do a covert investigation into Donald Trump's campaign that wouldn't be made public until after he was already elected in office, and then did everything he could to obstruct every single part of that investigation. Good one, Hillary Clinton. Real smart there. Maybe some of the people that she assigned to tracking Seth Rich should have been on her investigative team for how to rig the election here.
Russian agent, and they planned this, coordinating between the campaign and this organization to create this storyline. That's what's new. I've never heard this before.
I wonder why. Like, here's the thought. Durham did a whole ass special report on this. Why didn't Durham mention any of this? Why is nobody talking about Durham? Why isn't he being out here with arrest warrants, whatever, right? And the whole team that worked with him, I guess, right? Because apparently all the guys that worked at the FBI on this, because apparently all of these people were also hiding it all, right?
Did not know that the Russians had hacked into the Soros Foundation, and they had conversations between Democrats and the Soros group to set up a plot to say that Trump was a Russian agent, and it was known before Crossfire Hurricane the FBI was going to provide oil to it. So this was a conspiracy to blame Trump from being a Russian agent to distract from the Clinton email scandal to affect the outcome of the 2016 election.
It was, and then after they lost the election, then the real intelligence that was put together by senior rank and file intel officials, it said there was no Trump-Russia collusion. Didn't happen. And then they decided, I guess, according to Tulsi's release, my understanding is she believes Barack Obama led the way, but using the deep state, meaning Brennan and others, they decided to...
Oh, the deep state are your cabinet appointees? What the fuck does that even mean?
Up with another intelligence assessment. Now there's a bigger question. There's an investigation into a grand conspiracy by the FBI Director Kash Patel that this has been a pattern that has played out now for 3 presidential elections. The second one would be in 2020. And remember, they verified the authenticity of Hunter's laptop in March of 2020. The FBI then was meeting weekly with big tech companies, but they knew Rudy Giuliani's then attorney, Bob Costello, had a copy. They knew it was going to be made public. Lo and behold, October, that laptop story breaks in the New York Post. And sure enough, 51 former intel officials that knew nothing about that laptop assured the American people that, in fact, it has all the makings and markings of Russian disinformation. And when those big tech companies asked the FBI, who were
Hold on, wait, just on timelines. Did that 50-member statement thing, did that come out before or after the New York Post story?
Bunking it all summer long to them, whether it was true or false, they knew it to be true. They wouldn't tell them, and therefore the story got suppressed. Now,
suppressed?
Cinder blocks,
who says that? The story got suppressed. The story got suppressed. You could probably find fucking cannibal tribes that roam sub-Saharan African regions. Okay, they don't have contact with any other parts of the world, and you would go talk to them in some indecipherable language, and the only words you'd be able to communicate with each other would be the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. Give me a fucking break, you fat, disgusting fucking piece of shit, you slob fuck. What an unbelievable statement to make.
On the scale of an election, to me it is.
Well, not only, in October of 2016, Brennan went to brief Harry Reid about Trump's connection to Russia. And that came out right before the election, but it didn't catch on. After Trump got elected, before he took office, they went in overdrive and went to brief Harry Reid about Trump's connection to Russia. And that came out right before.
The New York Post story was October 14th, 2020. The intelligence letter was October 19th. Okay, gotcha. So 5 days after.
For the election, but it didn't catch on. after Trump got elected, before he took office, they went in overdrive to create this narrative that Trump was colluding with the Russians and that they interfered in the election to help Trump and he was a Russian agent. And the rest is history. Remember the Mueller investigation and how we lived through all that? But here's what's important about tonight. For the first time ever, foreign intelligence services were talking about the FBI is going to get involved in investigating Trump before the investigation was even started. And the way we found that out is between conversations between
Peter
Democrats
Strzok?
and Soros.
Oh, no.
So
Soros? Oh, my God. Okay.
The Russians hacked into this foundation, and they found out the information that they were planning an attack against Trump that was not true.
Imagine this guy actually slurping Russian propaganda. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Do you think they at least get paid for this shit? Like at least like Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and Dave Rubin got paid for their Russian propaganda slurp. I don't even know if this guy might do it for free.
And they found out the information that they were planning an attack against Trump that was not true to distract from Hillary Clinton's political problems.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page.
Why do you have so many fucking videos of this?
Joining me now with more on the agenda.
Oh my God, bro.
And the efforts to undermine President Trump in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. Stephen, it's great to have you this morning. Welcome.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And I want to start with the Russia collusion story because I know you lived it as well. They also tried to spy on you. They wanted your emails, subpoenaed you as they left people really with their lives changed. Your reaction to what was released this week?
The Russia collusion hoax against President Trump remains the single greatest hoax.
Make sure that you say
the greatest assault.
Seditious conspiracy and coup attempt. You got to work those in there because we don't want to have seditious conspiracy. Also, just imagine the hilarity. Dude, if you brought the founding fathers back to life, they would all kill themselves if they were like, oh, we put that pardon power in. And what was it used for last? The big thing? Well, the president of the United States pardoned a bunch of people who were convicted of seditious conspiracy. And they'd be like, damn, I didn't know American politics. The president is so what was it, to heal the country? He convicted people he pardoned people that were convicted of seditious conspiracy to try to get the other guy elected? That's great. No. They were convicted of seditious conspiracy to try to get him elected. They were trying to coup for him. And then he pardoned his own people that were trying to overthrow the government, That's what happened.
On our democracy in the history of this country. There's no comparison. There's no parallel to anything else. It was a coup. And I'm using that term literally. It was a coup.
We're not going to do instruction. They like coup and then get the seditious conspiracy in here too, please, so I can come a few more times.
Overthrow a democratically elected government, a coup carried out by the intelligence apparatus of this country, by the deep state, by Hillary Clinton and the Democrat Party. The new information that has been revealed by the Director of National Intelligence and by the FBI eliminates any...
The deep state Hillary Clinton, who wasn't part of the government, but okay.
...scintilla of doubt about the intention, the premeditation, the planning and orchestration of this conspiracy. It means all of the criminal elements of a seditious conspiracy against the United States.
Yes,
it means the criminal elements
that was
of
me
an
coming. Sorry,
It means the
I was
criminal
shooting
element
huge loads. Thank you. Yes.
Of a conspiracy against the government and the criminal elements of a conspiracy to deprive citizens of their civil rights under color of law. One egregious felony after another. And because it is a conspiracy, as demonstrated by
okay, I told you. Oh, I love how obvious this fucking Goebbels fucking piece of shit is. You hear the language, okay? This is not on accident. Listen to what he's saying.
Of a conspiracy against the government and the criminal elements of a conspiracy to deprive citizens of their civil rights under color of law.
The conspiracy to deprive citizens of their civil rights. You understand what he's referring to there, right? This is the Jack Smith indictment against Donald Trump. You know, I said that they were using these terms, coup and seditious conspiracy, so that they can try to, so they can rewrite history on all this shit. That depriving citizens of their rights was one of the charges on the, was one of the charges listed on the January 6th indictment. I don't want the final fucking report. Give me the fucking indictment. Why is this just not listed? It was this 18 U.S.C. Section 241, conspiracy against rights. Because that was part of the legal theory for this case. It was an attempt to defraud the American public of their right to have their vote heard, because they tried to rig the election by having false electors show up and have their vote be counted by Pence, which would have obstructed the rights of every American citizen of the states to have their votes counted for president. But they're trying to rewrite it. That's why he's using that language there.
Conspiracy against the government and the criminal elements of a conspiracy to deprive citizens of their civil rights under color of law. One egregious felony after another. And because it is a conspiracy, as demonstrated by the forethought of realizing and documenting that they understood that this was fake from the beginning, meeting the mens rea standard in law. Because of that, because it is a conspiracy, every single...
Not the mens rea standard.
...individual actor is now part of that conspiracy. So that includes Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Hillary and Schiff and everybody else who knowingly and willfully perpetrated this plot, this coup, this conspiracy, this scheme against President Trump and the government of the United States. And now is the time and the hour and the moment for accountability so that we can reclaim this democracy, Maria.
Well, do you believe we will actually get accountability? We've been demanding accountability now for a decade. Our audience is well aware that this is the biggest political scandal we have ever seen and an effort to undermine and take down a duly elected president. But now we want to see the tricksters face the consequences. Will they?
I have complete confidence in the Department of Justice to follow these facts, to follow this new, further avalanche of evidence, and to take all the necessary legal steps to ensure that the wrongdoers, the coup plotters, the schemers, and the insurrectionists are held fully accountable under the laws and Constitution of the United States. Yes, Maria, I believe that.
Now, last weekend, John Ratcliffe, CIA director, who is a former prosecutor, former DNI, told us that the statute of limitations, the 5-year statute, does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. And he says the conspiracy is ongoing because they still won't admit it. The conspiracy is still happening. So what is your take on what Ratcliffe told us last week?
No, he's completely right. So several of the statutes I mentioned, we have not even come close to eclipsing the statute of limitations. But more than that, it is an ongoing and continuing conspiracy. It continued through the entirety of President Trump's first term. It continued through the entirety of President Biden's term in office. And it continues to this day. There are still deep state coup plotters who are trying to conceal and hide this information on behalf of the people they're protecting. There are still staffers in Democrat offices who know the full truth, who are concealing that truth. So all of this behavior, all of this conduct collectively means the conspiracy hasn't ended, is ongoing. Comey in particular has throughout the years engaged in conduct and lies, public statements, and testimony in front of Congress. False testimony, whose sole purpose was to perpetuate and continue the conspiracy. So I have every hope and expectation that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of our courageous Attorney General, will follow these facts and follow the evidence and deliver justice. Because if we have a country where we can continue to have FBI careerists and CIA careerists, deep staters, who will fabricate and doctor evidence, who will create and produce fake material, fabricated material, phony information to try to go after their political enemies up to and including the president. If we continue to create the impression and the reality that there is not a severe criminal penalty for such conduct, it will never stop, it will never desist. It will keep on going forever. And we will continue to have a country that is sabotaged endlessly by the production of fake documents, fake material, fake plots against democratically elected officials. We can't have that. There must be consequences.
Well, I mean, it's just extraordinary to me that the mainstream media has completely ignored this story. And they obviously were complicit from day one, being the quote-unquote useful idiots of the cabal to spread this nonsense across the world. But the Russia collusion lie had such an incredible impact. People went to jail. They should not have. People were raided. They raided Mar-a-Lago. President Trump.
Who went to jail that should not have? Which one? Are we still pulling out the Flynn dick suck defense because this fucking retard lied to the FBI? He absolutely fucking did.
Home looking for these documents, according to Devin Nunes.
Correct. By the way, that's a great point. The Mar-a-Lago raid was a perpetuation and continuation of the same conspiracy.
No, it wasn't. You fucking retard. No. The Mar-a-Lago raid was in connection to the classified documents case. That was a separate case.
They went in search and in hopes of trying to recover the documents that would implicate their own criminal conduct.
That's right.
The entire raid was a perpetuation of the same criminal scheme, as you mentioned. And so many innocent people suffered irreparable harm. Paul Manafort was left to rot in a prison cell because of this ridiculous investigation.
Imagine defending Paul Manafort and then in the next breath condemning Hunter Biden. Give me a fucking break, dude. Unbelievable. This guy lying to the State Department, working with the fucking Russians in Ukraine to help influence their elections, and you're defending that guy? Unbelievable. By the way, head of Trump's campaign for 2016, by the way. Pardoned by Donald Trump once he was in office, by the way.
Paul Manafort was left to rot in a prison cell because of this ridiculous investigation, this witch hunt that is carried out. How many homes were raided, how many documents were taken, emails were taken against the innocent, against people whose only crime was working for President Trump. Right. And everything that has happened, including, I would argue, all of the interference in 2024 that took place, and in 2020 that took place, all the dirty tricks that kept taking place against President Trump were all part of a desire to keep him from getting back into the Oval Office to uncover and expose and share with the world the full truth of what happened, as we are seeing now, Maria.
They also set up General Mike Flynn. Let's not forget about that. There were so many implications of this lie, but even more so.
In case you're wondering what Mike Flynn is up to, if you want to know what a truly delusional, brain-broken, insane fucking person is, just go ahead and take a look at this dude's fucking Twitter at literally any point in time. You know they're smart when they got all the boxes and the circles up. Please join us for a superb weekend with a great group of patriots. Oh my God, we've got disgraced Giuliani. We've got Roger Stone. Who do I know this fucking retard? I feel like I've seen it before. And then Flynn, good one. What are we retweeting here? Byron Township and contractors. Oh, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Of course. The guy who was selling pillows for $14.88 to raise money for the millions of dollars that he was fucking donating to the Trump campaign. Oh, that's not even the craziest thing this guy did. What are we talking about here? What's going on here?
Hi, this is...
Holy shit. Oh my God, those veneers are blinding. She's ready to chomp through steel.
Hi, this is Donna Brandenburg News Network, and guess what? I have a dead well on my property right now, thereby the house has no water. Thank you to Byron Township's sewer project and water project here and the destruction of our wetlands. Each one of those pumps, we've got 9 of them out here, is pumping 2,000 gallons a minute. They also have, see the casement right there? That's also got some pumps in it, and they literally have taken the water level down so much that our well is no longer functional. We're literally, we've got an IBC container that we have outside that we've tapped into in order to have anything in the house there that works as far as water. And we have neighbors whose water is, they said, tasting different because they're literally destroying our water source. There are 9 of these pumps out here. Let me show you. Here's some more over here on this side of the street. There's 2 of them. There's 2 of them over there. When you go on the other side of the street over here, there's a few more of them over there. 9 total water pumps there, and we got a big problem. We've got a guy out here who has had a pond. His pond, no, you want to hear how crazy this is? His pond emptied out, and now they're pumping water into his pond into an area that the water table's been lowered. So it's just constantly cycling there. And guess who's paying for this? The taxpayer. You, me, and everybody else. This is not going to end well. They've also violated my right to free speech in the township by not allowing me to actually tell them what's going on. They gave me 3 minutes and said, you're done. Then they called the sheriff's on me. I'm telling you.
Oh, no. They only gave her 3 minutes to speak? Wow.
You, this is going to come to your area. There's an investigation going on right now. We're not going to stop until we get this thing handled. Donna Brandenburg.
Oh, let's talk about the impact to the American people.
Read what he wrote about that video. How many other local areas, townships, parishes, small communities is this happening to across the nation? This has to stop. This story is in the communist state of Michigan. True.
Because while Adam Schiff was going on the Sunday political shows, and he was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee for a time, saying there's collusion in plain sight. When you have that kind of a title, you're the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and you say there's collusion in plain sight, we believe you. You've got the job. You must have seen more than we've seen. So to outwardly lie like that because you have that title. Same thing with former director of CIA, John Brennan. He's got that title. We believe him because he says it. So all of this, when they were running around, Russia, 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 how much did they miss? How much did they leave on the cutting room floor? For example, right now, we are dependent on China for 90% of the underlying components for our prescription drugs. We saw Russia invade Ukraine, more territory. We saw Iran continue to build up nuclear weaponry. All of the things that actually matter to the American people were not the focus for 10 years.
Is incalculable. The cost is incalculable of having the entire security apparatus of this country focusing on the hoax instead of the real national security threats facing America, lie after lie after lie that was told to the American people, preventing us from actually solving our relationship with Russia, preventing us from actually developing security and independence from all of our adversaries around the world, dealing with these big geopolitical questions. Instead, we were consumed endlessly by the same hoax, the same lie. And the charlatans that engage in this conduct are beneath contempt. They are without dignity, and they are beyond redemption. What they have done, you can't even measure the harm that it inflicted.
Stephen, real quick before you go,
Beyond
take us to
redemption.
today, because President Trump has these deadlines underway. He is telling Russia, you've got days that are numbered. August 8th is the deadline to stop this war in Ukraine. What is he going to do in terms of sanctions? Can he actually stop this war? And what about China and a trade deal?
Well, so first of all, we've never been in a stronger place economically than we are right now, not only because the president passed the largest ever tax cut and relief in American history, not only because he's opened up American energy to a degree never seen before, eliminated all of the wasteful regulations, stringing
President Donald Trump has staunch allies in Congress in his second term.
This chick is so fucking twisted, bro. Her eyes are literally perceiving two different realities. Like, this fucking cross-eyed bimbo dipshit has had so many fucking Botox injections. Her optic nerve doesn't even fucking work anymore on one half of her fucking vision. His daughter-in-law is covering her. This is just an unbelievable situation right now. This is her, right? This is Lara Trump, or did I just go off on this? I don't care. She's some Fox News bimbo anyway. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are we even watching right now?
Including some lawmakers who used to be his opponents, like Texas Senator Ted Cruz. From celebrating key policy wins in the big, beautiful bill to uncovering the truth behind the Russia hoax, the senator is staying busy in Washington, and he's passionate about serving his constituents in the Lone Star State, especially in the aftermath of the heartbreaking and deadly floods last month. I caught up with Senator Cruz this week to see what's next in his jam-packed agenda. Senator Cruz, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to get you on my show.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. I want to ask you and start out with the FBI. This week we heard that FBI Director Kash Patel found documents in a burn bag in a hidden room at the FBI related to the Trump-Russia probe. First of all, give me your reaction.
Now it's in a hidden room? What is it, fucking FBI building? Is this Hogwarts? What are you fucking talking about? Were they not spamming spacebar enough when they were running up and down the walls to open the door? What the fuck?
Reaction to that. What do you expect the public to learn, and what's going to come out of all of this?
Look, I think the revelations we've seen in the last few weeks about the Russia hoax have been really disturbing. We saw the Obama administration, the federal government made a decision to go after President Trump. And they did so in a way that has no precedent in American history. They corrupted our system of justice. They concocted this hoax. And I got to say, the damage that was done to the FBI, to the Department of Justice, to the CIA, to the entire infrastructure of our government, it really is horrific. Kash is a good man. He's got a hard job. Turning those institutions around is I think, unbelievably important.
Do you think that we see a place where you have the majority of the American public finally trusting, our CIA, our FBI, all of that again?
Look, I hope so. DOJ has been an institution that was trusted. The FBI, the G-men, used to be the gold standard in law enforcement. And we saw people who were willing to just use them as a partisan tool to not only attack their opponents, but really to attack democracy. I think James Comey did a terrible job leading the FBI. I think he had delusions of power. And I think the entire Obama team was complicit in this. You look at the Biden presidency, the single most frequent question I would get, who's running things? And here's the terrifying answer. I don't really know. I can tell you in 4 years that Joe Biden was president, you know how many times I spoke with him?
No, you didn't.
0.
You didn't speak to him at all.
Not once.
Wow.
Joe Biden was not running things. That I know. Who actually was making the decisions? Damned if I know. And I don't know anyone else who knows either.
I want to talk to you about the one big, beautiful bill, because that was such a great thing we finally saw passed for this country. In an ex-post, you recently celebrated it, and really the big wins for your state of Texas.
Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit on those for people, and why this was not just a big win for your state?
The big win for your state from the big, beautiful bill, in case you're not aware, is the exact thing that Republicans had always been criticizing massive pieces of legislation for. They call it pork spending. They used to call this, it's now been eliminated from their vocabulary, but the idea that individual senators and congressmen would fight for little pet projects in their state as part of these massive bills, Republicans would call that pork barrel spending. When Obama was in office, they talked about it all the fucking time, but I guess now we just don't give a fuck about it anymore.
For the country.
I do not think there has been 6 months that has been more consequential in any presidency of our lifetime. And this bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill, has more conservative wins in it than any piece of legislation that has ever been signed. But I'll tell you, of all of the different provisions in this bill, there are two that I care the most about. That's school choice and the Trump accounts. What we did in this bill is we created a tax credit for contributions to scholarship granting organizations. As a result, there's going to be billions of dollars of new scholarships for K through 12 education all across this country. And we're talking literally millions of kids, many of them low income, many African American, many Hispanic, trapped in failing schools, are going to be able to get scholarships to get a great education, to go have a future. And then the Trump accounts, these things are amazing. So starting on the 4th of July next year, the 250th birthday of our country, every child in America is going to have a personal investment account. These are 401ks for kids. There are going to be trillions of dollars invested in these accounts. That's in this bill, and I think those two provisions will have the most long-lasting impact.
What a win, like you say, for everyone. Truly, both of those items. Just to move to something that's a little sad, you know, it's been almost a month since the devastating floods down in Texas. We know that there have been 137 deaths. There are some people who are still missing. What can you tell us about the update on recovery efforts there from the local and the federal perspective? The
Texas Hill Country, for folks who are not from Texas, the Hill Country is the prettiest part of our state. And Kerr County, where the worst damage is, there are 40 summer camps there. And the impact of this, 137 people have died, 37 children have died. And listen, I've been in the Senate 13 years. One of the consequences of representing a state as big as Texas, you have a lot of natural disasters. This is by far the worst I've ever seen. These are little girls, and the devastation at Camp Mystic, the water rose to 8 feet in the cabins. There is one cabin that little girls, and the devastation at Camp Mystic, the water rose to 8 feet.
Did he forget? Did he forget the names of any of the people, or does he not even know? Does he not know the fucking name of anything that happened? Why do I feel like, do you hear this? There are like 2 or 3 different cuts in this one fucking sentence. Do you hear this?
You have a lot of natural disasters. This is by far...
There was a cut. There was an audio cut there. You can hear it.
The worst I've ever seen. These are little girls, and the devastation...
I'm pretty sure there was another cut there.
These are little girls, and
there was a cut there, yes.
Devastation at Camp Mystic. There's
another cut there.
Water rose to 8 feet in the cabins.
Does he just not know? I mean, he doesn't give a fuck, based, I guess.
There is one cabin that was a cabin where the youngest campers were. It's called the Bubble Inn. And every camper in that cabin died. And they were all 8 years old. I will say, in the face of just unspeakable agony, it also is inspirational. You would see Texans coming together, and that's true at every disaster. You see people just helping each other. And look, Texas will come through this. We are a strong state, and we'll come through this the way we always do, by coming together and supporting each other.
You, of course, had critics in the wake of this tragedy that were claiming that there was a delayed response from FEMA. Can you clear up the story with all of that? Because obviously you always have critics, but this in particular is a little much.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, there are people who play politics, and they play politics with every disaster. I can tell you, as the flooding started, I was on the phone with Governor Greg Abbott. I was on the phone with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. I was on the phone with Nim Kidd, who's the head of the Texas Department of Emergency Management. And then I called President Trump. And I talked to him in the White House. It was right as the flooding was happening. And I just said at the time, I said, look, we don't know all the details. It's happening right now. But everything we're hearing, it looks like this is really bad, that there's going to be a really significant loss of life. And I'll tell you what the president said. He said, Ted, whatever Texas needs, the answer is yes. Absolutely yes, whatever you need.
Another tragedy around 6 months ago. Of course, we all remember that horrific helicopter and plane collision over the Potomac. And earlier this week, you actually introduced the Rotor Act. To kind of address this. Give us a kind of an explanation of this legislation and how it's going to impact air travel.
Well, it was 6 months ago this week that accident happened. It's the worst aviation accident in decades in America. 67 lives were lost. in an instant. An American Airlines flight was coming into DCA, Ronald Reagan Airport, and it hit an Army Black Hawk helicopter, and everyone was killed instantly. I'll tell you, I've seen the wreckage of the plane and the helicopter. It was utterly devastating. This should have been prevented. That should never have happened. And so this week I introduced legislation. It's called the Rotor Act, and it does a couple things. Number one, it requires what's called ADS-B in and out on every aircraft. Now, what is ADS-B? ADS-B out broadcasts the precise location of an aircraft, air traffic controllers to other planes, and it's much more accurate than radar. It gives you the exact location. And an ADS-B in simply is where...
I haven't seen this legislation, but isn't the whole point that it was a military aircraft? It was like a military operation. Like, they're probably not going to run this program, right? Or they're not going to run this system. I don't even know if they... I'm sure they might have it on, but like... Also, what are we admitting here? Are we saying that more regulations save lives?
Where the pilot can look down and see every other aircraft, so you can see what they're broadcasting. The NTSB, the National Traffic Safety Board, has been recommending ADS-B in for every aircraft for 20 years. It's not current law. And so my legislation mandates that it has to be, if you're in commercial...
Does this retarded fuck know that it was a military helicopter? Did he say that? Or did he think it was just like a random fucking helicopter that was like going around looking for DEI programs to implement or something? Did he say military? He said it? Okay. Like the part of the reason I think why this accident happened was because it wasn't broadcasting, because they were doing some fucking exercise and they supposedly weren't broadcasting, unless it was fake news, because it was reported very soon after the accident. So I don't know how this would help or what this would do. Like, my understanding is basically every airplane uses this, this broadcasting shit. This is the auto evading bullshit, right? Or is that a different abbreviation?
Airspace, you've got to have it, and it's designed to make everyone in the flying public.
Oh, I'm thinking of tax. I'm sorry. But even for this announcement thing, for the ADS-B thing, I feel like I remember reading articles at the time that these announcers are usually off for military aircraft.
Let me ask you about this. Back in 2015, you were actually the first major Republican candidate to announce running for president. Looking back, in all the 10 years, could anything have prepared you for all that was to come as you sit here today?
No. Look, it has been a wild ride. I'll tell you, that campaign still is the most fun I've ever had in my life. And it was wild. It was unpredictable. It was a time when people were incredibly frustrated with Washington. They were frustrated with politicians who didn't do what they said. They were tired of being lied to. And I think there's a reason why President Trump and I won every single state except 2, because people wanted someone who would
President
stand
Trump
up and
and I?
do what the hell they said. Someone who
Oh, little bro, you were not on the team. Get me out of here. Office of Special Counsel launches investigation into ex-Trump prosecutor Jack Smith. Thank God. Thank God we're through the real investigations, for sure.
For those of you who are obsessed with the Epstein case, enough. And for those of you who are obsessed with the Epstein case, you are the ones who are distracting us from the Obama-Hillary case. I don't know what your end game is with the Epstein case, but I know what my end game is here. That is justice. And that is a course correction for our country. Enough. And for those of you who are obsessed with the Epstein case, you are the ones who are distracting.
Joining us now to expand is editor-in-chief of Bracket News. You get him on Substack and everywhere.
I'm not going to say anything mean about him, because I'm waiting for him to respond to my DM. Because I'm sure he will, of course.
His podcast is great. Matt Taibbi. Matt, I'm not saying they should be so nice to Trump. He doesn't walk on water. But can we expect some fairness the second time around?
No, absolutely not. I mean, one of the problems is that the press has covered Trump in a way that has left them no ability to cover him objectively without admitting massive previous failures and corruption, specifically with all of the stuff that's come out about Russiagate and some other scandals.
Yeah, let's talk about Russiagate. You said in your latest column on Bracket News, you said you were reluctant to dive into the so-called conspiracy. What changed for you? Was it something in the Durham annex and the whistleblowers over the last week?
Yeah, I mean, I've been covering this story for 8 years, and I started out just saying something seemed wrong with the reporting, like the sourcing was bad. And I thought it was a story about a thin investigation that wasn't supported well enough. And I was very reluctant to go to this place that this was a conspiracy to cover up something that Hillary Clinton had done. But the Durham report really leaves no doubt anymore that the Clinton campaign had a plan in place to blame Trump on with something related to Russia even before the WikiLeaks stuff came out. So the administration that the investigation that followed was just incidental, and that's pretty well demonstrated by what happened in the report.
And the thing is, now you have this guy Leonardo Bernardo, a name with George Soros's Open Society. Jeff Goldstein, dealing with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, back and forth and finding a way to change the narrative from Hillary's emails and the John Podesta hacking to Donald Trump in bed with Vladimir Putin to hopefully win the election and later to destroy his first term when he won.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable because the real story here is that Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server opened up the United States to an unprecedented security risk. And the Russian government actually came into possession of a huge cache of material, correspondence all the way up to the president's office.
He's lying. He's confusing things and mixing things up here in order to make it seem like that came from Hillary's email server, and it didn't. There's no proof or evidence of any of that ever happening ever.
And yet, in order to deflect from that, they had to create some kind of story that was similarly explosive. So they came up with this idea of linking and vilifying Trump and Putin together. They talked about it being a long-term project to demonize them both. And that's what they did. And what's so remarkable is that every single major media reporter in America went along with this, this station excluded, obviously.
Matt, if it wasn't for a compliant media, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been.
Did you hear that? This station excluded, of course.
Major media reporter in America went along with this, this station excluded, obviously.
Matt, if it wasn't for a compliant media, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been a bunch of intelligence officials making statements. But the media was stenographers for this story. And it ruins people's lives. Michael Flynn, Paul Manafort, solitary confinement. They almost arrested Jared Kushner. This goes all the way through. But a lot of people are saying we've been through this. What's different is in this annex, in these burn bags that were found in the FBI. But the New York Times on Friday comes out and just show this headline, because you tackle this in your column. They basically say, could it be that the information that Matt Taibbi and Brian Kilmeade are talking about right now is Russian disinformation, and it wasn't them? So if you could stay with this, can you buy that? Do you think the Russians are duping us?
No, there's no question that they had an enormous amount of material. It was taken seriously enough by James Comey that he moved up the date of his announcement of the end of Hillary Clinton's email investigation. And the denials that the New York Times is writing about today, and I'm just so exhausted by this process, Brian.
I know.
Every time they come out with some new cockamamie thing, and we have to take time to knock it all down again, and eventually it's admitted later. But these are non-denial denials. They talk about it being put together by spies, and the people who are mentioned in the story, they say they don't recall it happening. But if you actually look at what they say in these interviews, they say things like, yeah, I don't remember doing that, but it's possible that I proposed that kind of plan, and it's possible that if I proposed it, it would have been accepted by the campaign.
Like is he still on his Twitter space right now? Oh, it's not a space. It's like a show. It's like a live stream show.
Be honest about his admiration for Putin, and
What the fuck are they even fucking watching?
And focus on the threat of Islamic terrorism, then
it's almost 10 years old.
Was we shouldn't now suddenly act as if this is a huge revelation. Every intelligence agency in the federal government arrived at a consensus that the Russians had hacked the DNC, and the information that was now being released was as a consequence of a decision by Russian intelligence and Russian officials at the highest levels.
Yeah, that's all true. Nobody smart contests this. Oh, there's a YouTube channel as well?
What the CIA is now assessing, which was it was done purposefully to tilt the election in the direction of a particular candidate, shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and in fact isn't a surprise to anybody.
What? Dude.
You had something you wanted to add? When we're discussing the issue of the Russia hack, I think it is worth noting that when it comes to the motivations of the Russians...
Okay, for a sec.
That...
Walter, can you hear?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think it's significant that he struggled much in this interview. Obama's...
He left the room and came back to revise his earlier statements.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
It just came on the screen.
Okay. I missed that.
Go back. Go back. There was an intermission. There was an intermission.
When it comes to the motivations of
when the screen goes
Russians.
black.
Wait, let's go back a little farther. Sorry, folks.
You had something you wanted to add? When we're discussing the issue of the Russia hack, I think it is worth noting that when it comes to the motivations of the Russians, that there are still a whole range of assessments taking place among the agencies. And so when I receive a final report, we'll be able to, I think, give us
like, imagine at a time when like race realists feel like they have more voice in the US than ever, right? The most retarded fucking white people are in charge of everything, and black people who were 50 billion times more gifted in every single fucking area of politics, of understanding foreign policy, of knowing how the government works, that like these were the people who ended up being replaced by actual inbred dipshit trailer park trash white people that happen to be born into rich families. It's unbelievable.
Comprehensive and best guess as to those motivations. But that does not in any way, I think, detract from the basic point that everyone during the election perceived accurately that, in fact...
Why am I watching this? They have a YouTube chat. Yeah, you can type in their YouTube chat because it might be live. If it's live, hey, I'll jump on a chat with both of them if they want. I got viewers, I'll quintuple their reach. They should want that. He's a journalist. Doesn't he want attention on his stuff, right? I'd love to come on and chat.
It's embarrassing.
Lastly, in the conclusion, people want to see some type of consequences for this unsavory action. If we talk about consequences, note there's a statute of limitations. What do you expect?
Well, I don't know. I think that's the last remaining mystery in all this. I know from talking to people who are close to all these investigations that they're not doing this as part of any kind of hearts and minds campaign. They don't expect that the press is going to suddenly stop on a dime and make their case to the American people. They're doing this for a reason, and they're doing it to make cases that we know that there are criminal referrals that have been made, investigations have been stopped.
By the way, when you see ultra fucking wokies talk about how like that one girl yesterday who I said I would agree against, who I would disagree with her, right? When it came to the argument for DEI policies, and Cenk was saying maybe we're done with DEI, and I was like, yeah, I kind of agree with Cenk here. The thing that a girl like that would point to the media cycle right now, and she would point to things like the reason why we need DEI and woke shit is because there are people in this country today that still think that Donald Trump is a more qualified president than Barack Obama or Kamala Harris. A lot of it having to do with just skin color and gender. Just saying.
started. We just don't know exactly what they're going to charge. It's going to be some kind of conspiracy case, but conspiracy to do what exactly isn't clear. But the evidence is abundant, and they've completely exploded the myth of Russiagate at this point.
And if people want to know the latest, just cut through it all, follow Matt Taibbi on Substack on Racket News. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Brian.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.
I wish someone would.
Director John Lee, CIA Director John
Last video on this topic.
Lee Ratcliffe worked on this in Congress and again as DNI and joins us now. Welcome, Director. I sat beside you as Comey and Brennan were questioned for hours about Russia collusion. They never once mentioned this was a Clinton campaign plan. They knew it. They were co-conspirators. Would this ever have come out had you not declassified Brennan's notes and then Durham's annex? And for our viewers, what's new in the Durham annex?
Well, Trey, think about that there was intelligence from foreign intelligence services that one U.S. presidential candidate was trying to frame another candidate for treason, claiming that he was an agent of a foreign power, an agent of Russia. And that intelligence was never shared with you or I as members of congressional oversight committees on intelligence. And, you know, but for the good fortune of me being able to find John Brennan's notes and declassify that secret may have been hidden forever. But I was able to provide that to John Durham, and you see some of that.
How did you find the notes or whatever, if they were in burn bags, or are these different notes?
That in his annex that was declassified this week. And so what you learned in this annex that many people didn't know before was details of that Hillary Clinton plan and how it included groups like the Soros Foundation and the role that the FBI played. So before all of this started, Trey, what we did know was this, that on July 31st of 2016...
Wait, am I seeing this motherfucker because he has a fucking show on Fox News now? Is he also a host? Holy shit.
The FBI did something as shocking as it was unprecedented. They opened a criminal investigation into a nominee for president, a candidate for President Donald Trump, something that had never been done before. But what you learned in John Brennan's annex this week was 6 days before that, Russian intelligence predicted that's exactly what would happen, that there was a Hillary Clinton plan and that the FBI would pour oil on the fire of a firestorm that would consume the country for the next 3 years. So think about that, Trey. Either the Russians made the greatest prediction or the luckiest guess of all time,
or we're just repeating Russian propaganda.
Or this intelligence was real. And of course, the answer is this intelligence was real. And how do we know that? Well, subsequently, under penalty of perjury, while under oath, Hillary Clinton's own campaign manager confirmed that there was such a plan and that Hillary approved it.
That's not true, but I like how we're slowly morphing what was in that PDF more and more. Okay.
I think in addition to what you learn about the FBI's role that came out this week, was that this intelligence that was so shocking that John Brennan brought together the National Security Council, President Obama, Vice President Biden, Clapper, Comey, Susan Rice, and briefed them on this intelligence about a Hillary Clinton plan to frame Donald Trump, and that the CIA made the required referral of that to the FBI to investigate that as a counterintelligence matter. And as John Durham found, the FBI buried it. They didn't open a file. They didn't assign an analyst. They didn't investigate it all. They just spent the next few years.
If they buried it, then why are you reading an annex of it? What are you talking about? That sounds like the opposite of buried to me. It sounds like it was actually considered.
Really amplifying the lie of Hillary Clinton's Steele dossier and burying the truth of her plan to frame Donald Trump. It is the greatest political scandal that we hopefully will be the last that we'll see in our lifetime.
Speaking of amplify, Director, I want you to amplify a point that you just made, because you and I both know John Brennan, the New York Times, they're still in denial. They're claiming that none of this has been verified.
Well, they have to, Trey. They have to, because to do otherwise would be to confess their guilt. My critics in this regard, Brennan and Comey and Clapper, They said I was wrong about there was no Russia collusion. They said I was wrong that Hunter Biden's laptop was real. Of course I was right. I was telling the truth. Our intelligence reflected that, and the same is true here. This intelligence is real. And for Comey and Brennan and Clapper to say otherwise would be to confess their guilt, to say that they gave false testimony, that they misled Congress, that they obstructed justice. So they have to put up these straw man arguments saying, well, we stand by our assessment that Russia meddled in the 2016. Well, that wasn't their argument. Their argument was that this was unprecedented, that Donald Trump was potentially committing treason, that he was an agent of a foreign power. And so, they have to take that point. And to the point of the New York Times and the Washington Post, the same thing. They don't want to admit that they wrote thousands of false stories. So they don't want to give back the Pulitzer Prizes that they gained for writing those false stories. So they're doing it to do anything other than to try and fight this and say that it's not real would be to admit their guilt, to admit they were wrong, and to admit that they deliberately misled the American people, which is exactly what they did.
Yeah, they also might want to read Hillary Clinton's campaign manager's sworn testimony, because he admits what you just said. They deny it, but we'll see what they say when they get under oath. Is there more to come from either you or FBI Director Patel? Are there more shoes to drop that we should be looking for?
Yeah, there are, Trey. So, people need to understand that, there is no Russia collusion hoax file cabinet at the FBI or at the CIA. We have to look for these documents, sometimes that are well hidden. You have to go trace through emails and look for signs and clues that would point you to. That's how I found John Brennan's notes, and that's how we found additional documents. I've talked with FBI Director Patel.
Okay, we're off this topic.